Welcome back in, everybody. All right, this is day 4 now of the Odd Shop. So we appreciate you rolling with us here. This is going to be glorious. Loughran's in the house. Shander is in the house. Chris remains here in the house producing. You are back after we had a monster night. The community parlay hit. We have a lot to look back and pat ourselves on the back as you thumbs up and subscribe here on the OddsShopper channel. But it doesn't stop. You're only as good as your last ticket, as this man here will tell you. So we are right back to use the OddsShopper premium tools and build some more solo parlays, what have you. But Loughran, my friend, you know, good to see you. I know you've been doing it 2 times over already with Raza, and you and I here are charged with keeping the good vibes going with that monster community parlay last night, amongst other things, of course.
Yeah, congrats on that, boys. And OddsShopper
is taking all credit, by the way, on the Discord.
Of course, but OddsShopper Premium should be getting some credit as well. Also, shouldn't the community get some credit? Because the community was part of the third leg, and they voted for the Sixers +2, correct?
That they did. So the Sixers +2 was what the chat came up with. And look, here it is, +536. Congratulations if you tailed. That's a hell of a ticket. But to Loughran's point about using the community for that third leg today, and this is his idea, so he can expand on it all he wants. But today, he and I are going to step back. All 3 legs are going to be provided by you, but we're not going to give you an option in one poll. We're going to give you 3 options. So this is going to be a head-to-head. I don't know. Maybe you are all jacked up already for March Madness, and you've got like your bracket mentality here to where you want polls and brackets and everything to lead to some final champion. But we're basically going to give people 3 different polls and 3 different options.
And also, yes, we are. So it's going to be, we're doing the superstar parlay, right?
Yes.
We're doing the superstar parlay. So it's going to be, you guys decide. We'll do 3 polls throughout the show. Pairings, team pairings, as a matter of fact. Harden, Embiid, right? We got to pick one of those. We got to pick one of Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Points. We're doing straight over under points. And then what do we have? Kawhi and Paul George to round this one out?
Correct.
Okay.
So I love, by the way, this is us just hanging. You know, they tell you there, Jordan used to hang it, lefty, righty, whatever you are here, Kobe, however far back or soon you go here. Chris is just letting this sucker hang because it's a beautiful sight. Like, I can't get enough of this.
It's a nice looking graphic, too, if we're being honest.
Can I make that my ornament, my air freshener in my car? You saw the Jalen Hurts one?
I'll tell you what, too, though, man. If it's you and me doing a show today, we're gonna use the market to help us make the best bets, to help us make the best parlays. We want your guys' thoughts as well, right? Like, hit us up in chat. That's what makes this show enjoyable. Let us know where you're at. What if you have questions, right? Of course, OddsShopper Premium, the first week is free anyway, so you can go in and dig up whatever you want. Dude, you'll spend hours on there playing around with it. I can tell you that much. But yeah, we're gonna shop some odds, man. We're gonna find the best stuff. There was one on there I saw today, right? This was a prop. Okay, it was a Paul George prop, and I don't know if it's still there. You would think one of the books was smart enough to change this. It was 130 in one spot, and other spots it was between 160 -170 and -185.
Wow! Right away, you just can't pass up that value.
No,
especially when you see it laid out. Yep.
It's disappearing. And also, we got to go crazy. We're going to do a double-double. This is completely unrelated to
crazy stuff,
to sharp betting.
Yes.
Later in the show, double-double parlay. I mean, we probably go 2-leg, but I'm tempted to do a 3-leg parlay. But we'll see.
See, I thought that you and I just creating a 2-leg double-double
parlay
would be enough for you, right? But you really wanted to push it. All
right, hold on. Let me back up for a second.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Is your double-double going to be like a 10-1 double-double, or is it going to be like a Luka Doncic 1+140 double-double? Because that's different.
No, I'm in the. It's not going to be in our game. It's not going to be in the Sixers Mavs game. I can tell you that. And I'm in the 250 to like 650 range. So I'm not going to destroy this thing. And because here's the thing, we're building a parlay, right? And this is at the end of it. We're going to get to the tools. We're going to hit this right away. Look at the top bets. We're going to show you that. We're going to take any suggestions you have. We were loaded up with chat questions the past couple of days. We want to keep that going by all means. But to your point, I think I'm in that range of like 275 to 650 because the craziness, the madness, I think is found in the fact that we're doing this as a parlay, not individually.
I almost want to do it right now.
See, I know you are the most corruptible of my brain
Dude,
of all the people that we work with.
I almost want to just do it right now.
Oh man. All right, let's hit it. All right, so the poll is up. We're going to do this 3 times over. We need your help. You are building the community parlay out there. We're going to remind you, of course, as we remind you to hit the thumbs up button, all of that. Subscribe to the ever-growing OddsShopper channel. But Joel Embiid, James Harden, the Philly Mavs game, over 32.5 for Embiid, over 21.5 points for Harden. So I don't know where you stand on that, Lofty, but right now, early results are in for Joel Embiid as the winner on this. Again, early results. We'll switch it up, but we want people to get in so we can keep this thing moving and hit the community parlay at the end.
I don't mind it. We'll look at the tools as well, but off the cuff, you're getting Joel Embiid a little bit of rest, much needed rest on that first leg of a back-to-back. So yeah, I would say we're certainly looking at a spot where Joel Embiid could be your guy. But James, we'll wait. Let's wait till we get all 3 of these and take it from there.
Right. We have a couple of questions popping in. We're going to look at the top of the board, give you the top plays on OddsShopper Premium. Yes, we'll hit PrizePicks, no house advantage, everything right down to the double parlay. But here are a couple of pieces of information and some that you already knew about. LeBron James already out, but you kind of get at least this timeline, if you will. And Joel Embiid probable, which means he's going to play. He's played through worse. And then the 2 in the middle, if there's anything that jumped out at you there.
Not really. The truth is, when it comes to, like, we do a lot of DFS shows. I've been forever. With DFS, the injuries are so much more important. When it comes to this, just have an idea of what could happen and make sure you have notifications set up on your phone from, the most reliable provider. So when that news breaks, you can find the book that's hanging a bad line. Or a stale line. Right. That's seriously all it comes down to, right? Or you go with your intuition or your gut. I'm not saying you should, but if you go, listen, I really don't think this guy plays today, then I'm going to bet this side of the game, or I'm going to bet this prop, which is on the board. But generally speaking, like, when it comes to betting, Eytan, we can react the moment we can react as it happens. And pay attention, because there are, look, PrizePicks, no house advantage. There are some other books too that are going to hang stale lines. DraftKings, dude, I'm telling you, a couple of years ago, and you know this, I have the alerts set up on my phone. They come straight to my phone. No matter where I was, I'd be waiting for these. You would get an alert, and if you could do it 2 minutes. 2 minutes is a long time on DraftKings to go in there and hammer everything affected by this player being out. Like if Doncic or Giannis was ruled out, now if this happens on DraftKings or FanDuel, generally speaking, it's gone by the time you get to the site.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest part of jumping whenever it is on the market. And I threw one out of the Discord today, partly because my son was up. He's got a head cold. He can't sleep. He's 20 months, 21 months. Anybody, including you, who knows what that's like, you know that you're not sleeping either.
It's Jordan's 2nd birthday today. Our kids are man. They're nice. What, 3 months apart. They got to meet. They got to become friends.
Absolutely. Give me a day for this kid to get through whatever it is that's just flowing out. But
it's the worst
over there. But point being is I'm on there 2:30 in the morning, and there's just a gem that jumps out because somebody's made a mistake. And the OddsShopper algorithm doesn't take off. It's working nonstop. So you can always take it. Right? It's great, man. It's great.
2:30 in the dude, that brings back memories. But when she was like real young, and you had to like get up and feed her or do all this stuff, and it'd be middle of the night rocking him back to sleep. I remember laying on the ground in her bedroom and just live sweating at 4 a.m. Olympic basketball. Because remember, those games like went through the night. Those Olympic basketball
you were
games.
laying down. Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I was laying down. She was in her crib, but I knew that if I got up, she was just going to freak out anyway. So like a little 4 a.m. Germany versus whoever it was sweat. Hey, yo, let's shop some odds. Let's see what we got here. I got a great double-double later, too. I'm telling you.
I'm sure you do. We also have a question. I saw Kyle throw out Bradley Beal. I have Real's information up here. We're going to get to that in a second. And just remind you, throw out as many questions as you have. We're going to give you the advantage of this free tool throughout the show. So let's build it up right now. Top plays, as Lofty mentioned. I know you have a double-double. You can't stop. You can't help it right here. So
I mean, now it's definitely not going to hit, but
well, still though, we have a couple. Kawhi Leonard under 2.5 threes jumps out, on DraftKings. You're going to see that one. I think the Dante DiVincenzo over 20.5 PRA also there on DK. Couple in between there with BetMGM, Draymond Green, Kuminga. So you've got some options to work with. X win that's north of 55 or so percent, and ROI that's 4% or better. And as Lofty mentioned, as we'll continue to mention, these are individual bets that are beating the market. So wherever it is, DraftKings, BetMGM, whatever sports book you see on the right, each one of these plays, so long as the X ROI is positive, and you have a reasonable X win percentage here. And not to say that the DiVincenzo assist prop isn't going to hit at 46% of the time, but you're using the numbers that the OddsShopper algorithm is providing here for you. These are all plus EV bets right now. Currently, where we see these are beating the market, and Van Vliet right there at the top as well.
It's kind of wild to me. Look at the other lines on the Kawhi Leonard under 2.5 threes. Usually DraftKings isn't this far off from other books, right? Like usually they're pretty connected. It's some of these smaller, less frequented books that go rogue. Kawhi Leonard's at minus 145 under 2.5 threes. And I know people are going to look at this and go, mind you, listen, this is market-based betting. You're just taking the discrepancies in the market and basing decisions off of that. So when you're applying like analytics to it and everything, it's going to get you in trouble. But I'm sure people are looking at it and going, this guy's fucking electric from three lately. He can't miss. And he's shooting 40% from three on the year. Also, I will point out that like you don't just keep shooting 75% from three every night.
No. I get that.
On four attempts. But check this out, man. We're on you and I are on PA, so you can sort by state on this. PointsBet minus 170. Usually they have better odds than everywhere else.
Correct.
FanDuel minus 170. Unibet minus 177. Same with BetRivers and SugarHouse. Like, what a huge discrepancy. That means that if you were to bet 145 to win 100, and you were to win this bet, say you made this bet 10 times in a row, Eytan, right? Like once a day to win 100. So like you're betting a unit, you bet 1,450 to win 1,000. If you did this on BetRivers, you would have basically paid 1,800 to win 1,000.
Yep. As opposed to the 145 on DK.
Over just across 10 bets, that's almost $400. That's a $300+ difference.
BetMGM is narrowly beating out the market, and DraftKings is beating BetMGM
by
so that should tell
significantly.
Exactly. So if you're ever in doubt and you see the book that's not on the right side, as Chris brought that up with all the books there, and you see one book like BetMGM, all right, well, you know what, BetMGM, that's a pretty good price. Like if those were your only options and you took BetMGM under 2.5, you're still getting a good market value on that bet. But knowing that you can get it at 145, that's why you look at it and think, all right, well, you're jumping ahead of this by a mile right now. And look, people bet off of trends. People bet off of a guy that's red hot. So maybe the fact that the over was taking in, or maybe the market adjustment, whatever the case is, maybe it's simply an error. Maybe it's just the fact that somebody at a book made a mistake. It doesn't matter the reason. It doesn't matter the rationale. It doesn't matter projections. None of that. It's just, hey, we found a price here that's significantly better at the under 2.5. And Kawhi Leonard right there. Van Vliet is another one under 29.5 PRA that jumps out.
Yeah. Van Vliet. I mean, of course, it depends on what books are available to you.
Sure.
But like, okay, for example, this probably wouldn't be a great bet on DraftKings. It would be a great bet on FanDuel. And I don't mention Unibet because Unibet isn't, everywhere. I think that's like what, PA and only PA? I don't know.
Yeah, no, they're in a couple. They're in a couple.
Are they?
Yeah.
But yeah, look, Kawhi, one of these is probably ending up in a parlay later on in the show, if we're being honest. Like the whole Fred VanVleet thing, 29.5. Not much juice on that to the under. Again, like if you wanted to look at it from an analytical standpoint, sure, you could go ahead and do that. And I think you're right. I think a lot of this plays into people playing the trends, and you're going to see a whole lot of that. Fred VanVleet too. I mean, you want to talk about some of the more streaky playing that we've seen. You and I know this well because Fred VanVleet against the Philadelphia 76ers was a ghost. And then they went on to the Eastern Conference Finals, and he was not Kawhi was the reason they won that.
Yeah, man.
You remember well.
Yep.
But what a streaky player that he has been from, man. If I'm telling you right now, if this was 29.5 before the All-Star break, right? People would be hammering the over. The over. It's not more than a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. Really, I should say it's not more than, I don't know, 3 weeks ago that Fred VanVleet every single game was putting up monster numbers.
Now to where this is one of our better bets on the board. And again, you look at that and it may not have made sense, as you mentioned, on that time frame, but definitely where we are now. I do see a bunch of chat here coming in. I know we want to build some parlays, get to some promos, man. But anything else, like Draymond Green was another one that popped out. So we'll get back to these in through conversation. How about Bradley Beal, though? Bradley Beal, I saw the points was thrown out over 22.5. Where I'm looking at it, it's not a good bet. Bradley Beal at -3 as an XROI, Lofty, with a 55% hit rate, but still, you're laying -130 on that to go over 22.5. And based on the market price, as you mentioned, betting this 100 times over, it's not a great bet. We have it as a minus as far as an XROI. So the math, the numbers will tell you just that's not a good bet to place tonight. As far as the under is concerned, because that doesn't always mean that you would jump to the under. So Kyle was the first, and a couple of other people threw out Bradley Beal's over 22.5. Even going under 23.5, that's not a bad bet. So if you look at adding that extra point on FanDuel, jumping under that at -106 for a 1% XROI and a 52% hit rate, that's not it's not our highest rated bet by any means, but it's over 0%. You have a positive XROI. So if you came into the show tonight thinking, all right, let me just slam Beal's over 22.5, the tool is actually telling you you're better off buying up and going under the 23.5 on FanDuel.
Agreed. And look, here's another thing. If you really like Bradley Beal's over points today, at least get it at 22.5. Right? Like at least get it at 22.5 and not the 23.5, because everywhere else it's 22.5 right now, or 23. And by the way, the problem here is that there's just heavy juice to the over. So that's the problem. Like you want the over. All right. It's 22.5. That's your best spot, but it's -130. And then the under 23.5 with a positive ROI. This just feels like you said, it's a slight positive ROI, probably a spot you stay away from. And it doesn't mean it's not going to hit, okay? It doesn't mean that the over is not going to hit. Of course it doesn't. It just means that, from an agreement standpoint on the market, there's nothing really to exploit here. And if you guys have some other spots, by the way, our friend Josh Engelman, check out his PrizePicks video every day on the channel. I think he's doing No House Advantage too. He's on under 28.5 Fred VanVleet as well. So nice. This has actually come up a little bit, which makes me a little bit more interested in that 29.5.
All right, we're going to close this poll out in a minute. I do see one here from Kyle. There are a couple of other people, again, asking about Miles Turner. I have that over the 9.5 rebounds in front of me. But look, man, we're closing this poll down. So you might as well jump in if you haven't already. We're going to add 2 more to get in. You are building the community parlay tonight. It's not going to be us. We're taking our faces off it. Even though last night, 2 of the 3 of us collected, this is all on you now, all right? You need to keep the momentum going. Joel Embiid or James Harden. We're going to close that down in a second. Miles Turner, a couple of people asked about that, plus money over 9.5. This is not a good bet. This is one of the worst bets you can make according to OddsShopper Premium tonight. It's got a -10 XROI with only a 45% hit rate. And
it's about as bad as it gets.
Yeah, seriously. And you know what? People may see the plus money and think, wow, okay, well, it's plus money. Under 9.5, by the way, is a 0, which means it doesn't do anything, which means if you bet it 100 times, you walk away 0. So that ultimately is a pass. It doesn't mean that you've taken the over, the under. It just means that leg is a pass, a no bet. So ultimately you have a bad bet or a no bet. I don't think you do either, right?
I don't see why you'd need to. No. The whole purpose of this is to find the best bets, not the ones necessarily. I know, I understand too that this concept of betting can seem boring to some people, Eytan. I get that, but that's why we build parlays, and we're using this concept to build parlays and give ourselves a real shot to hit something big. But when it comes to finding the right bets, you have to program yourself to look at this as like, all right, this probably seems like a good bet. Maybe maybe he's gone over this amount of rebounds recently, and that makes me like him more. If the entire industry of all of these books, if there's some consensus, right, that this is not a good bet, that there isn't a single book where you're getting this as a good bet, you have to look at it. Ben always says this. He's like, if you think you're smarter than the books, you probably aren't, right? And we always believe that, I did a betting video today, and I was talking about, it was just like how to bet on NBA and sustainably win. And it's one of the biggest things for me is don't ever think that you've outsmarted the books, in the sense of how many people go, man, Luka's out, I got to hammer the Kyrie Irving over points. Do you not think that's being accounted for? Like if Giannis is out, do you not think everything else is being accounted for before the props come back on the board? If you hit them before they're off the board, that's huge. But yeah, something like this, -10% ROI, it's really just suggesting that there is not any value there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Keep them coming. I see that shots on goal. People want that. Westbrook over 15.5. Already Ryan Swartz throwing out a double plus 1,300.
Who is it?
I love it. No. We'll get to all this. We'll get to
Avdia. Oh man.
We'll get to it, right?
Woo. All right.
So Embiid, by the way, is the winner over 32.5 points. That's our first one. Chris is going to put up our second one, but let's put that in there. That's in there. All right. Locked in. Joel Embiid over 32.5 points, which seems reasonable. Look, you do have to wonder what it was that kept him out. Was it the true foot injury, or was it the non-COVID illness that seems to hover whenever he's on the road? Take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I have no idea with him anymore. I thought there were like 8 games that he was going to sit, and he ended up not sitting.
Because of the MVP. You see this up close and personal.
He's not going to win it anyway. Why is he trying?
But he can't sit otherwise because he's been shamed into playing through all this.
That's horrible.
That's why. All right. Well, we're on to our next one. Luka or Kyrie. We'll throw that in there.
Who are you going?
From a points. I trust Luka. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know. I'm going to go Kyrie, even though I do expect some regression for him. But we'll see what the community says. I don't want to influence. I don't want to influence the jury. You're a jury influencer. I could see you saying shit.
I'm not.
No, yes, I could see you standing there in the pulpit, right, saying stuff, and Jack McCoy's like, Your Honor, and Lofty's just keep. Well, yeah, that's what I told him, and that's what I meant to him, and that's why he's dead to me.
Isn't that illegal? Like, wouldn't you get in some trouble for doing that?
I don't know. The people never get like arrested. They just get gaffled, and then they say, erase that from your mind. And that's like asking the poor people who are watching this, to erase what they just saw from their mind. Like, it's never going to happen. You're scarred from what you hear or see.
But so you're saying if I were in a court, I would be held in contempt?
Or the judge would look at you and say, Mr. Loughran, you better shut up or keep your mouth closed, or I'll hold you in contempt. And then look at the jury and say, disregard what this man just said, which is absurd because you just poisoned them. They're human.
But I'm also, right. We can't get into this, but you're right. To act like people can just disregard what they just heard.
It's absurd.
I listen, I'm no attorney, but I would just start throwing wild shit out there, and then they're like, you can't say that. And I go, oh, okay, well, erase it from the record. But now it's in their heads anyway. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You got it. Anyway, Luka over at OddsShopper, minus 12% expected ROI on the over points. Eytan.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Kyrie is going to be the play here. We'll see what happens, right? We have to build a promo or two, but
Yeah.
I think we'll see what the community says. All right, we have a couple of same game parlays here, right? One on each site in DraftKings and FanDuel. We remind you here, look at that 3-leg same game parlay up to $10, lost paid back in bonus bets on DraftKings. We remind you, you've been hearing this and seeing this the whole time on all of our OddsShopper videos, to sign up, take 90 seconds out of your life. You have to be 21 or older, right? Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, and at least live in a state where you can legally place a wager, so you're not driving across 6 states and anything illegal like that, right? Keep it on the level, download the app, sign up through us. There's a link below, and then you can start taking advantage of stuff like this. No sweat, same game parlays. There's stuff all the time. All the other books have that as well, so make sure that you're signing up, but we're just providing a $5 into $150 promo. All you need to do is just bet the heaviest money line, $5. Again, super simple. We have a 3-leg same game parlay to build. And I don't know, do you want to just take the easy way and go Philadelphia, Dallas? Do you want to move away from our comfort zone so we're not accused as turning this thing into like OddsShopper Philadelphia?
Yeah, right. I'll hit whatever game you want to hit. We could do. So like Clippers Warriors would be fun. The only thing that sucks is that, some people might not stay up to sweat that game. That's why sometimes I do the earlier games to make life a little bit easier, but I'll do whatever you want.
Spurs Pacers. Like, we don't have the trust. This is the 4th day of the show. We don't have the trust of the audience yet to ask them to sit through that game on a
right. It's a shit game.
Yeah, like we can't, maybe once we grow this thing down the road, we can ask people to sit through an entirety of a shit game, but we can't do that.
I'm not sure Tyrese Halliburton's mom is watching that.
No. She's got the night off.
Yeah.
He's like, look, Ma, you've done enough, please. All right. So, I mean, it's really, it's Toronto. Both of these teams are at least playing for something.
I mean, it's Philly, Dallas.
All right, let's do it.
That's Philly. It just is, right?
Yeah. And here's the thing. You can build this both ways. So we'll go to DraftKings, right? Or do you want to go to FanDuel? Where's the uniform? Chris is on DraftKings. That answers the question here.
And we got the promo there.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's
we just told people to sign up there. It's probably a good idea to stay with it, right? All right. So Sixers Mavs right now, is there any side or total? Because OddsShopper is going to work best for us to find value in the market when it comes to a player prop that we can hopefully add here to the same game parlay. But is there anything you see on the side? Sixers plus 2.5 and over 229.5 under that, maybe in the total.
One thing too, I want to point out, if you're using the promo that Eytan just gave you, don't make this same game parlay your first bet.
No.
Make a money line bet, your biggest favorite that you can find. So you win, you get your money back and you collect 150. Do that because you're going to just do that anyway. And then place this bet for another $10 because otherwise you don't want to void that huge $150 bonus. All right. From a side standpoint, first of all, like if you're using the tools, you know as well as I do that a lot of times you're going to have, if you're using the market-based approach with NBA lines, NFL lines, usually they're pretty damn efficient, right?
Right.
I mean, BetMGM does have it at 3.5, but you're not getting that value at DraftKings, so you're not getting that hook there. I would probably, with Philly playing the second of a back-to-back on the road, I know that Embiid is a little bit rested. Just where I would go, not OddsShopper. I would probably lean Dallas here, but I don't know that we have to take a side for this parlay.
Or a total.
Where do you lean?
I'd have to double. That's fine. I think if anything, I would lean under on this total over anything, but I don't think we need to play a side or a total. All right. Well, Chris has the under in, so that's fine. We both agree on that. Let's add that. That's fine. We don't need to make this too complicated, right?
No, I'm actually I'm actually totally okay with that, by the way. I don't think there's anything wrong. 228.5. I don't know. Interesting number, just given that, Dallas plays at one of the slowest paces in the league. Philly plays at one of the slowest paces in the league. Of course. So since Kyrie Irving has come over, I can pull up what the pace is, but yeah, I would rather lean under the total here than taking a side.
All right. So we can head over and see on the tool if there's anything that jumps out specifically. And again, you can filter this right down to game and to the book. Since we're on DraftKings, we're building a same game parlay with Dallas and Philadelphia to see if there's anything that's positive ROI. Now, Luka's threes under 2.5 on DraftKings is going to stand out, I think. Well, you've got the Melton one. Okay.
I mean, the sickest thing you can do is just go into filters.
Well, you're on ROI. If I go to ROI, that's where I am.
Right. Yeah. I was saying it's just so nice. You can just select the game.
Yeah.
And then sort by ROI, and then we're getting our best picks. But yeah, we still need it to be DraftKings. Did you see the expected ROI on Melton threes on Sugar House?
I did. It doesn't look like all of the books are up quite yet. So you'd have to go through and check to make sure that they've been fully synced. Because, and again, that's just the nature of it, where it may be like a second or two, what have you. But it didn't look like, if you click on the card, it doesn't look like all of the books, right? Because that ROI, no, that's rebounds. But you meant the threes, right?
Dude, it's minus 110 at BetMGM and DraftKings. At Bet Rivers and Sugar House, if you're in Penn, not like I won't belabor the point. It's plus 1. It has a 28% expected ROI.
That's threes or rebounds?
DeAnthony Melton over 1.5 threes has a 28% expected. I just have never seen that on a prop, at least not recently.
So here's the thing. So I'm on FanDuel right now. FanDuel doesn't have it. I can't bet Melton. So this isn't a matter of, for some reason, FanDuel didn't pop up, whatever the case is.
Yeah, it just isn't on every book.
No, but it happens to be specifically, and if you go back again, that's a great catch, because as of right now, again, maybe more books added as we get closer to tip, what have you, but 2 books, including DraftKings, which is most likely the market maker outside of FanDuel doesn't have it up on PA. So there are 3 books that are currently offering that we have. Now, again, you'd have to go check, right? PointsBet, you'd have to check some other books. But my guess, like FanDuel doesn't have it, so those books wouldn't have it either. To your point, you now have one of these 3 books that are currently offering Melton's threes at plus 165 versus the minus 110 at BetMGM and DraftKings. So
yep, that's why
somebody's made a mistake at Sugar House.
Yep, that's why you use the free week of OddsShopper Premium. By the way, it's in the description. Click the link if you're trying to get the free week. But yeah, that's why you do this, because instead of scouring every book, it takes no time to do so. But yeah, it doesn't seem like we have a ton of great expected ROI spots here. If you were to pick one, let's say we go with the under, right? Now a lot of these others are over, but expecting slow pace, but also just looking at these. I mean, the best DraftKings expected ROI is PJ Tucker under 4.5 rebounds. So we need him to finish with fewer than 5 rebounds. A lot of people were talking about the Kyrie Irving prop, the rebounds prop as well. DraftKings has that at plus 110. I saw that mentioned in chat quite a bit. I'm almost tempted to throw that in there to be in sync with chat here. But not only that, but because it's our second best expected ROI, or actually it's tied for our best XROI bet for DraftKings and player props.
That's
Kyrie Irving over
rebounds,
over 4.5 rebounds.
Yeah, I like that. See, I don't know why. What do you have that as far as ROI?
3% XROI, plus 110 on DraftKings. Everywhere else, it's minus money. Everywhere else, like, yeah, look at that. FanDuel minus 102, PointsBet minus 115, Unibet minus 105, but still plus 110.
Yeah, I love that. Okay.
And when you're building these same game parlays out, you can get different odds sometimes on the same game parlays than it would be if you bet it straight, which is interesting, right? So let's see, like Kyrie Irving rebounds 5. Oh, okay. So 5+
On DraftKings.
is minus 105 now in the same game.
Yep.
Yeah, that would still profile as a decent bet, but not great.
But you're still plus on the ROI, are you not?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just it's not plus 110.
No. No. Okay. So we add that at least. You're not going to be able to get an over-under on him, I don't think. What about PJ Tucker, since he's there?
We can't bet under rebounds on Tucker, unfortunately, for a same game.
Above?
We can't bet the under on a same game. No, but if you
go above, is he not one of the featured names above?
No. Tucker?
So you can bet some of those guys you can bet under, right?
Right. Only Harris, Christian Wood, Harden, Embiid, Doncic, and Tobias Harris.
All right. Just making sure.
I got you, man. I'm looking.
You know, man, every now and again you can slide in there with all right. I don't want to tempt fate there with an under on that. That one though was definitely popping out as a good individual play. So we'll throw that out there at the very least. Under 4.5 rebounds, plus 105. It's got a 3% XROI. That's beating the market there from DraftKings. You mentioned Irving over 4.5. We need one more. Doncic, 8+ rebounds.
Okay. I mean, you got Kyrie rebounds and you want Doncic rebounds. I mean, I suppose if we're going on, there's going to be a lot of missed shots, but also a slower paced game, fewer possessions.
Yeah. And think about this. Are you flinching if you see a box score, no matter what that total is that goes under, with Irving hitting 5 rebounds and Doncic hitting 8? Now, no. That's the base. That's the floor, but
yeah. I'm just saying, is the window tightening a little bit? Is the window closing a little bit?
I understand what you're saying, right? Like there was one where you guys were talking about Malik Beasley, right? Where it was his points one way, under his points, but over his threes.
Yes.
And how that just wasn't really correlating, and if anything, that was working against each other. I don't think that this is working against each other, but I do think that you are narrowing your scope for game flow. Does that make sense?
Sure.
You're narrowing your window. But I
got you.
We've got a 3-leg parlay right there. That'll work.
I don't hate it.
No. All right. Over 7.5 for DK, minus 155, plus 475 right there. That should be fine for you out there.
Don't worry, and these same game parlays are so restrictive too. Like, you know, you can't bet any unders on threes. It's just overs on threes. And you know why? Because usually, like, same game parlays they're not made to be profitable. Like, they're just straight up. That's why we're trying to find the best bets possible on OddsShopper, because, like, are you surprised that you can't bet under 3-pointers? No, because most people betting same game parlays want to bet the overs. And they're going to give you, sometimes weak lines. And if there's not a no, how do we know if that line's any good? So,
yep. All right.
I don't know.
We have a couple. Here's the thing. We're going to hit NHA and PrizePicks in a second. We have a couple of people who asked about questions specifically with player props, but Weird Steve TV with a question about OddsShopper showing the same data as NBA Bet Pro. No. This is a completely separate tool. It's a completely separate approach. BetPro is using stochastic projections. It's using sharp projections. It has nothing to do with OddsShopper. All OddsShopper is doing is finding you mistakes, is finding you holes, is finding you areas of the market that you can attack, like Laffy just did with that Melton prop, where one of 3 books was not like the other. Because as Laffy said, Ben said once, that somebody else I'm sure told him, and it goes back and back, you're not outsmarting the books, but one book can fall behind the others.
Yeah,
so
and will.
Exactly. So you could bet blind on OddsShopper. Let's say you're waking up, your kid is up, right? It's 2 a.m, you can't sleep. There's ATP Dubai or whatever the hell's on live at 2:30 in the morning. You can line shop that, which is what OddsShopper is doing. You're finding the best line out there. That's a completely different approach. This is a market-based approach. So this is blind. Now, we're giving you the NBA because that's what we talk about. That's a lot of the context that we work around. This is a super popular sport to do, but we could do anything we wanted here and we would hit, because the tool is finding you an area of the market that's off, a book that's off. It could be shots on goal. It can be goals. It can be tennis. It can be soccer. It can be college basketball, all of that. That's the biggest difference between the OddsShopper premium tool and everything else that you see. Everything.
And hey, Eytan, you want to know if this stuff works? Well, guess what? They already pulled that Melton prop that was plus 165.
Yeah.
In the last 5 minutes that you and I were talking about. They already pulled that.
Somebody jumped on that, I'm sure. If you're out there and you jumped on that, give us a shout here in the chat.
This is how sharp bettors place bets anyway.
You're getting ahead of it.
This is how this is how professional bettors bet, and that's why, you know, Ben's one concern was he's like, eventually are all these books going to try and patch this up?
Yeah, it's going to be tough though, don't you think?
It will be. I mean, they might be able to sound the alarm, but if you've got tools like this, you'll be able to get in quick enough to where, like, the other people that aren't using this might have never even seen it. They never even knew it existed because they pulled it. But yeah.
You know, it's akin to, and you're going to love this because it's out of nowhere and it's perfect. And it's been, I don't know, 20 minutes since somebody's done something, you or me, completely ridiculous or irrational. But it reminds me of the whole Lance Armstrong shit, right? Like, this dude had a fucking team of people who were paid to beat the dope testers. That's who they were. Like, that's his crew. He had a whole wing in the office, which is to beat the guys. And you're right. Like, there's always going to be an algorithm. There's always going to be a tool. There's always going to be something that finds a mistake. And there's always going to be somebody making a mistake. We have what, 9, 10 books or so, handful that you can operate here in Pennsylvania. Chances are that the smaller book at 2:30 in the morning is hiring has an operator that's not making as much as the guy on DraftKings.
It might be asleep.
Exactly. You're going to find a mistake. It's human error. All right. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. What are we doing? We want to build a parlay. Oh, someone asked about Jakob Poeltl. I got something on Jakob Poeltl for you guys later. Don't worry about that. Okay. Stick around.
Anything else you want to hit there on the chat, or you want to just get to NHA?
We saw I thought there was one more question. Is Halliburton playing? Last I saw he was still questionable.
Let's close the poll, by the way. It's Kyrie Irving in a landslide over 23.5.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving. Okay. I like that. So we got Kyrie Irving and Joel Embiid.
Yep.
You answered the OddsShopper. Does it show the same as BetPro? Yeah, no. Important question. That's a great question, by the way.
Yep.
Both of them are valuable. One of them is they're different than each other. Both of them are valuable. But you don't need to use both of them. It's a matter of what you prefer to use, what style of betting you prefer. Generally speaking, the market-based approach is always going to be better because one of them is a set of projections that people have to make. It's fallible, right?
Right.
With this, you're capitalizing on failure. That's what you're doing. You're pouncing on failure, if that makes sense, right? Like in the book, you're taking advantage of, you're beating the books with the books, essentially.
I saw one real quick because I have it up here. Daniel Gafford, PRA, and it's 16.5 when Famoso Joe posted. It's now up to 18.5. At least that's what I have it here in PA. And if you got in at under 16.5, I don't know what that number was, but it's under 18.5 now, minus 125. And that's not a good bet for us. We don't have a number that's beating it. That's a pretty consistent number across the board. And there's nothing that's jumping out here. 17.5 is pretty much minus 112. The amount that you're paying to jump up to 18.5 from 112 to 125 doesn't beat the market. So if anything, you're probably getting ripped off. That's what our tool is telling you. So you can just look at this and say, oh, well, minus 6 XROI. That means it's a bad bet. But if you wanted to understand a little more, and you don't have to, we're not asking you to do hard work. Look, the two of us are not going to ask you to think. I think I can speak for you there, right? Well, all I'm saying is you can look at this at the minus and say, all right, well, why? Under 18.5 versus everybody else that's offering 17.5. Clearly, I'm getting an extra point, but you're paying up for it. And what our tool is telling you is that by paying up for it, you're actually overpaying for it. You wouldn't just overpay for anything. Why overpay? You're not going to overpay and spend some of your bankroll and risk it on Daniel Gafford, right? That's all.
I would prefer not to. No. Hey, another thing too. Somebody had asked, why is, or I wish I could bet legally in the state of Utah. I hear you. And a lot of people feel that way about a lot of states. No house advantage and PrizePicks are available in a lot of those states. I think Utah might be one of those states where you just can't do shit. Can you play PrizePicks in Utah? I don't think you can play no house advantage.
I don't know about PrizePicks. I don't think you can NHA in Utah, but you're right. I mean, they probably.
But everywhere, usually, essentially, that you can't bet elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, it's again, I don't know when that comes down. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if you have a friend or relative that lives over state lines, but you know, maybe you start hanging out a little more at that place.
You can play PrizePicks in Utah.
Good. Okay. Well, we're gonna get.
So should we build some parlays to help people out?
Let's do that. Here's the thing, though, with NHA. Right. Let's start with NHA. We'll get to PrizePicks. Okay.
All right, let's do it.
NHA. We have a promo that we're going to take advantage of here, where you can take a free square for UFC 285.
Huge.
Now that's going to be gigantic. Look, you can follow along with what we have. You know, Narco Cop's got his video up here. He's in the Discord. This is probably a good time to remind a bunch of people, Lofty, that are watching, that you can stay up to everything on our Discord, including UFC card. Like, he's been crushing it, and you're going to get cards. You're going to get bets. You're going to get stuff that gets thrown out in the Discord. We'll take half off your first week, all of that below. You're going to hear promos and a bunch of people talking about it. But the reality is you can stay up to, even today, you leave the show, news comes down, maybe with Embiid, you hit Lofty up, whatever, you hit us up in the Discord. Holy shit, what do we do now? It's all live. But again, we have the opportunity, as mentioned, especially with a big event like a UFC event, to have you covered as stuff happens. Maybe a hit or two, build a card live on the Discord. All right. By the way, our third poll is up, and you're building this out there. Kawhi Leonard over 25.5 points, or Paul George over 22.5 points. Do you have any lean on this as we get to NHA?
Well, I will use our tools to guide me. Kawhi Leonard points, it's less than 1% expected ROI.
Okay.
So there's that. That's the over on points. Paul George, let's see where we're at on all Paul George points. We're at the over -5% expected ROI. So I would lean here to Kawhi Leonard. But that's what it's showing right now.
Right. Okay. Okay. By the way, I'm laughing at the wife jokes. The wife.
Oh yeah, there's a good
wives. Right. Oh, it's hard, man. All right. PrizePicks, yes. NHA, no. At least we got that down when it comes to the state of Utah. Let's hit and here it is. We have a parlay builder specifically designed for NHA, specifically designed for PrizePicks. We're finding plays that are beating the market at a built-in rate for these legs. So this is it. Again, the whole idea of this show is to not think. Is for us to find ways. Like, the only people that are thinking on this show are you and I, right? We're finding ways to fill the gaps between showing people what to do in the tool. That's the hard part. Everything else is just here. This is your NHA parlay. What do we have? 5 legs.
6. No, you're right.
No,
sorry. 5. Yeah, 5.
And again, you can mix and match. You can see if there's a win percentage that maybe jumps out, but they're all there. Harden. You look at the NHL plays, pardon me, all at 55%, along with Van Vliet under 29.5. That's a 55% hit. And Bradley Beal's assist under 6.5. There isn't anything that we have outside of Paul George. So if you wanted to take out Bradley Beal's assists and swap that with Paul George's rebounds, technically you could do that, but you're not gaining or losing any value. It's more just a feel play for you. They're both.
Do you want to do 5 or do you want to go 3 here? Be a little more conservative, see if we can 5X. Like, what are you trying to do? The last few days I've been 4 of 5, 4 days in a row now.
Yeah.
4 of 5. I mean, maybe that means I got to just keep going, but
could be.
But what do you want to do? By the way, like you said,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. We already have the John Jones free square.
True. Okay.
So that's
True.
one.
True.
Right. So this is what NHA is doing here for you, is giving you a free square for the UFC 285 with John Jones. So let's throw that in there. We have John Jones free square.
So
now
let's get Harden out of there then.
You want Harden out. All right.
Yeah, because no house advantage literally just removed that.
Got it. All right. So take Harden out. Do you want, of the two,
we're keeping Van Vliet because that is one of our best, highest ROI.
Take Beal out. He's at 54%. Now you have three right there at 55%.
Yeah.
Unless you wanted to add Westbrook under PRA and take out one of the hockey guys, I'm fine with that. But I'm good here.
Chris, throw it up on the screen too if you can, the actual the parlay builder, so we can see what's going on here. At this point,
I have Westbrook that's been added here at under 28.5 PRA.
And you're getting the free square. So that gets you to a potential 11x.
Correct. If you wanted to do, we have 4 right now with the 2 hockey guys, Van Vliet.
Yeah, big fan of David Perrin and David Pasternak.
Oh yeah, come on, man. I'm surprised you didn't go to them right away. You follow the sport pretty intently.
Listen, man, I'll bet on cow wrangling or whatever, as long as they tell me it's a good bet. Absolutely.
Well, look, I'm trying to get OddsShopper to add Little League World Series, but it's been an uphill battle. That's all I'll say. All right, so we have
bull wrangling. Cow wrangling is probably not a thing, right?
I don't know. I'm not the guy to talk to. I've seen one rodeo.
Would you run with bulls?
No.
You wouldn't do it?
I don't need
I would do
risk my life doing anything right now than to protect people in my life. Like, I'm at that point. I still, I've got a couple of years on you, right? So you still have a little thrill left in your body. I'm done with that shit. Like, it's over. I'm playing video games and raising a kid.
What about for $100 grand?
No.
Really?
No.
For 5 million, would you run with the Bulls?
Probably not.
Really?
Here's the thing.
All right.
Get into shape, right? Like, what is this?
All right. I'll move on. I'll move on.
If this parlay hits, I'll run with the Bulls. But we have to add one more leg.
We do need to add some punishments in here one day when we start getting our bets in.
Right. All right. So let's keep this in here. This is the NHA one. Chris has it there intact, right? We'll hit PrizePicks now.
Yeah, let's hit PrizePicks.
Okay. Again, this is just already here set for you. This is what I love. PrizePicks is just bang. And you should be playing 5-6 leg flex plays on PrizePicks by all means. This is set up for you, all sports. Or you want to just keep it NBA? You want to just keep it NBA?
Yeah, let's keep it NBA. By the way, Kawhi Leonard crushing in that poll right now.
Yeah, I imagine that's going to stay. All right, so we'll take the shots on goal. Right now we have Bradley Beal is another guy we can throw in there. He's got a 55%. And Westbrook, what do you think about that?
Let's see.
Beal and Westbrook. That gives us Poole, Siakam, DiVincenzo at 57%, Turner, Beal, and Westbrook at 55%.
I like that.
That's a 6-leg parlay, and there you have it. 20% X ROI, 3% X win. That's fine.
Yeah,
5 right payout is double.
And feel free, look, if you're using the free trial of OddsShopper Premium, link down there as always. If you're using that, feel free to remove some of these. Like, you don't need to go 6. I know Josh prefers the 5. Especially because if you hit 4, you're 2xing. And that's the same case if you're on a 6. Like 6, 25x, but you're still 10xing on a 5. So I know a lot of people like the 5-pick flex. So there you have it. All right. And then rewind this too. If you missed it, you could go back and catch all of them. We'll sweat these together.
There you have it. Those two. By the way, Engelman's saying like, oh, I'll do a lot more for 5 million with a bull. You guys have cleared DFS slates. Like, you guys are worth some money here. Don't sell me on some bullshit that you're going to risk your life to run with a bull or two in Pompona. Come on, let's be honest here. It's going to take a little more than that to get Engelman off his ass. Can we at least agree on that?
Absolutely. But him saying that he'd do a lot more with that bull than run with it for 5 million is hilarious.
It is hilarious. It is. I had to find a way to bring it up than to just say, hey, did you see what Josh said?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. And I believe him too. Josh is a dirty dude. All right.
Well, that could be it. Then maybe that does put you over the top. We have to hit a double before we get out of here. And more questions. Anything else that you see? This is easy stuff, right? So if you see a name that jumps out or any prop, that you want to hit, we're more than able to do that by all means. I know Utah took over. DeLon Wright, 2 turnovers, so we have that up in there. And you're right, as far as our final poll, well, we can close that. Kawhi Leonard over 25.5.
Yeah,
I
it's a
think
wrap.
that's going to walk away with that, right?
Yeah. So we got what? We got Embiid over points. We got Kyrie over points, and we got Kawhi Leonard over as well. Let's see what those final odds come out to. Chris pulls it up. Dude, are you ready to do some double-double action here?
Absolutely.
All right. What do you got?
No. I want you to go for, not that I'm going to destroy this or come out with anything crazy or anything along the lines. I'm just curious. I'm just curious where you're going here.
I'm curious where. Okay. Well, here's what I'm thinking, right? I like Jakob Poeltl double-double today.
Okay.
Now, this guy can already double-double in like 27 minutes, right?
Right.
But the rotations have been weird lately in that I think there is upside for more minutes here. Now, I'm not saying that Jakob Poeltl is a lock to double-double right now, but I do think that at the odds you're getting on him to double-double, it makes sense. I mean, think about this. The one game, Gary Trent closes, but Poeltl played 27 minutes through 3 quarters. And then the game prior to that, he played 27 minutes, but didn't play the last 4 minutes because it was a blowout down 30. So I think you have legitimate, I think you legitimately get to around 31 minutes from here. The good thing is I'm not saying you will, but you can get to a double-double without having the 31 minutes. Like he can play 27 and still get you a double-double here. So I'm going to go with Jakob Poeltl right now, double-double at plus 210, Eytan, against the Washington Wizards. He's been playing solid basketball, and sometimes Nick Nurse likes to give his guys a little additional run.
No, I think that's a great place to start. I'm going to be in that range there. I was kind of going back and forth between 2 guys tonight in Collins and Looney, and looking at that 200 range for Looney, the 220 range or so for Zach Collins, and basically looking at can I get 10 to 12 points from Looney tonight? And I think if that's the case, especially as you look at this game where the Clippers are defensively, I'm going to take a shot there. I'm not going to go deep into this thing, but Collins was actually at 230. So I'm going to add that. I'll add Looney in there.
All right. So 2 big men.
Yeah, go ahead.
2 big men. And you can bet these straight too. Like you don't have to.
Yeah. By all means.
You don't have to parlay these if you don't want, but I like Poeltl. When I'm looking at double-doubles, the one thing, a lot of times it's less matchup for me and more, do I think they can get more minutes than they've been getting, right? And I think when you have some of that variance, some of that volatility in playing time like a guy in Poeltl does, I have no problem grabbing it at plus 210 today. When we've already seen him put up monster rebound numbers, he already, he's flirted with a double-double or had one in 4 of his last 5 games. The only one we had 3 rebounds, but 9 boards, 14, 18, 9, 30 points, 21, 9, 13, 14. I like this here, plus 210.
There you have it. I've got Looney, by the way, double-double 4 of his last 6. You have one aberration where he only had that 2-point game. And
I like that.
Yeah, clearly that. So we've added these together. A couple of 200s has to be worth something. And you thought that this would be the premise of this bet, I think, is crazier than the results of it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm betting
537 on FanDuel.
I'm betting this right now.
There you go.
As we get out of here, I'm betting this right now. Why not?
Just saw that there as far as Embiid over points. You can look and see what the tool says. Joel Embiid under 32.5 points, by the way, is a no-go. That's a -7 XROI. So you're not doing anything at all by taking that bet. That's the best number available. Over 32.5 is a little bit better than the under 32.5, but you're still dealing with a negative ROI. So you're still at -1. So again, even if your heart was set on betting a Joel Embiid point prop and like, okay, over 32.5 doesn't work, let me jump to the opposite. Our tool is basically telling you that neither one of these bets are profitable. Neither one of these bets tonight are going to be long-term profitable. They're just not beating the market in any real area. You're not gaining anything. In fact, you're losing. And in one case with the Embiid prop, Lofty, you're hemorrhaging under.
Yeah, right. And if you really think about this, is that a huge surprise to you when you're using a market-based approach? It shouldn't be, because Joel Embiid's point prop sits around this number pretty much every time. There's mostly a consensus surrounding this. Finding those spots, like I was saying with Pirtle, that was more just analytical on my side. But when you're looking at a market-based approach, why not try to find spots that have been volatile, right? Where there's not going to be consensus across all of these books. That's where you're going to find some of these. DeAnthony Melton before that got pulled. Is there any better example than that? Like a DeAnthony Melton threes prop where it's wildly different across all of the books. I think that's where when you have uncertainty and unknowns, the opportunity arises to find really good bets. You just have to be on the prowl. That's why OddsShopper Premium is going to get you there.
It's amazing, man. Absolutely amazing. I know my guy John Shelton was asking about shots on goal. Patrick Kane over 2.5 is one of our top plays, and it's on DraftKings, so you don't need to go far. Jeff Skinner, your guy there. You're a Steve Stamkos dude as well, aren't you?
I actually love Steve Stamkos.
Yeah, you have to.
When I used to play do a lot of fantasy hockey, I was Stamkos was the man back then. Granted, that was like 12 years ago, but yeah.
Well, by the way, Skinner's an under, but the other ones are overs. All right. You don't watch The Simpsons.
No, I've never seen an episode of The Simpsons in my life, dude.
Yeah, I don't know why you would deprive yourself of that, though. Like, that's not a bad.
I've seen some of it. I don't like it. I've seen every episode ever created of South Park. It is my favorite show. I don't like cartoons other than South Park. It's very weird.
Can I ask you a question? How far back do you go in your Simpsons knowledge?
Oh,
or not knowledge, exposure. Exposure is a better term.
I guess I have to go back to the beginning. I don't know, man, but I don't know.
Well, you didn't see the early one. You didn't watch the monorail and say, I don't like this.
No, send it to me and I'll tell you what I think.
Okay.
How about that?
All right, let's close out the community parlay here. When this hits, there's nobody on this show like myself or Lofty that can take credit for this. You have all built this out there, and it's a nice, juicy one, plus 537. Don't fuck it up, OddsShopper community, all right? Because you're riding some nice momentum from last night, but you were a part of last night too. So it's all on you tonight. Steve Finkelstein here with the super chat. Never seen Simpsons, love South Park. Lofty is plus EV.
My man, Steve.
Those statements aren't mutually inclusive, though. Like, they don't have to live together. You can be a plus EV guy. South Park can be great, but that doesn't need to be at the expense of not watching The Simpsons.
That is fair.
That's all.
That's fair.
All right, here we go. Thanks again. There's our OddsShopper community parlay. We'll catch up on that tomorrow. Myself and Lindy back here. Lofty, we'll see you on the show next week. Again, you have a week free. Take advantage of that below. This shit's working. The OddsShopper, the NBA parlay that I do here on the OddsShopper channel, that hit last night, and all I did was just build it off the tools here. I looked at the tools. I said, all right, let's plug that in, and we did it. So the tools are working, and we wouldn't do this show otherwise. All right, brother?
Yeah, man. I'm going to go shop some more bets and keep updating this leading up till 7 o'clock.
All right, real quick, over under. If I were to give you 10 Simpsons episodes, how many would you watch by the next time you're on the Odd Shop?
0.
Right.
No, I'll watch one. Give me your best one.
Don't do it out of guilt.
No. I promise you I will.
I don't want your pity.
Give me one. If I like it, I'll ask for more. I think that's fair. If I like, give me your best shot. Okay. If I like it, I'll ask for more. That is very fair. If not, I can't guarantee anything else.
We still have over 200 people in this chat. Monorail is definitely up there. Chris Karen mentioned that. By the way, Conan O'Brien, the ones that he produced, which was ones that he was writing as well, are just genius. It's amazing television. There are a couple of others that really stand out. All right, so humor me if you're out there, chat, right? Lemon Tree is absolutely up there. Humor me if you find one, an all-timer that you can point to and say, all right, next week we'll do The Wire and see if I can get you one there for The Wire. But
I've never seen The Wire.
That's what I mean. It's going to be
wait, you know I'm joking, right? That's my favorite show.
I know.
Oh, okay.
But we need to that's the thing. We need to get you a Simpsons episode. We'll figure that one out.
We'll talk. We'll reconvene.
That one out. All right, everybody. See ya.
Peace.